Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on life through music. Thank you for stopping by. Well, coming again today, you're very, very welcome. I trust you enjoyed my last video on the iconic Hey Hey It's Saturday. A much loved television show in Australia. And following on with this theme of iconic TV shows, we're going to look at this very, 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 very influential show on Australian television. Very influential for very many reasons. It showcased Australian bands to the world, and if you're an international act that was coming to Australia to do a tour, you did your best to get on the show. This is how influential and significant this show was. The story started on the 8th of November 1974. And it was a weekly show recorded in Melbourne. It was created by Michael Shrimpton, Robbie Weeks, and incorporated the legendary Molly Meldrum. Now, this particular show finished on the 19th of July 1987. It went for 14 seasons and 563 episodes. And in the case of most shows, this show, like all others, it kind of transitioned and changed to keep up with the times. Massive in the 1970s, pretty big in the early 1980s, and it sort of had its season. Just picture screaming fans, live audiences, bands that just did what they did on stage, just leave it at that. A Countdown, which we're talking about today, is an iconic Australian TV show, and you cannot do a series called Life Reflection Through Music without doing this show. Now, I've actually had a few performances of acts on Countdown in the past, and I've said many times, if you got on Countdown, you know you'd made it. Countdown is one of the most popular television shows in Australian music history. It was based on chaotic audiences, live-ish acts, and music videos. And of course, as you know, around the early 1980s, MTV was a bit of a thing. Music videos came in. The best way to experience Countdown, I think, is just to look at some videos below. There actually are quite a few because, it's the Countdown, so what can we say? So let's start off with the iconic Madonna, all the way back in 1985. Due to Countdown, this is her first hit in Australia, Holiday. So we've got a bit of a clip of her hamming it up with Molly Meldrum in 1985. There were live acts. We have Smokie in 1977, a video footage from them. 1976, I don't know if you guys can remember the mid-1970s, the phenomenon that was the Bay City Rollers. Roller mania absolutely took over the world. One of the few bands that have had a mania, actually. You think about the Beatles, you think about the screaming fans, ABBA, Bay City Rollers. Bay City Rollers, absolutely. Now, these guys actually, there's a couple of clips below. We've got them just storming onto the set, really, and being interviewed by Molly Meldrum. Now, this is an absolutely gold footage right here. The other band that's there is the iconic Australian band Sherbet, who well and truly got a lot of airplay on Countdown. But the Bay City Rollers, we've got an interview with these guys. We've also got them performing on stage, I Only Want to Be With You. So it's good to see the Bay City Rollers. This is how influential Countdown actually was. 1984, we got The Cure, live footage of them. They got the iconic Duran Duran, 1982. Think about Australian acts. This show actually not only brought acts to Australia but to the world. Sherbet, Daryl Braithwaite and the boys. And then we got the Angels. And then we've got Skyhooks. So we've got 3 live acts from three live acts, Australian acts. Molly Meldrum also in his style did interview many people. He was an excitable kind of guy, quite infectious with his enthusiasm. We got him interviewing John Paul Young here. Of course, John Paul Young had Love Is in the Air, and John Paul Young was very much a staple on Countdown. He wasn't scared to interview big people, including David Bowie. We've got a clip from 1983 video there. quite infamous and referred to quite often was when Prince Charles was interviewed by Molly Meldrum. Now, Molly Meldrum has a tie on here, very, very nervous. It just did not work. Prince Charles asked if he had a teleprompter, and Molly Meldrum says, "Oh no, we can't afford one." So here we got the footage of Molly Meldrum interviewing Prince Charles all the way back in 1977. And then I think in very, very good taste, we got Prince Charles a little bit later on spoofing up that particular interview. I think everyone remember this particular interview, how bad it was, but sort of how iconic it was at the same time. And so you've got to have the footage of Molly Meldrum and Prince Charles. There was a countdown spectacular that came a few years in the early 2000s. We've got a few live acts. In this case, we've got the choir boys. We've got John Paul Young singing Yesterday Hero, and we've got Wah Wah Nee. They had that massive song Stimulation, whereas here's Paul Gray singing Sugar Free. So it's good to see that many years later, some 20 years or so after Countdown finished, is still very well regarded in Australia. When Countdown finished in 1987, Hey Hey It's Saturday, which we looked at last time, thought, well, you know, we can get Molly on to do his melodrama, which he did for many years on Hey Hey It's Saturday. The great thing about bringing Molly into the Hey Hey It's Saturday arena was that he was very much subject to the Hey Hey It's Saturday brand of humour, and calling Dickie Nee. Now, the altercations between Dickie Nee and Molly Meldrum are iconic and go down in history. Here we've got all of the absolute things that make Molly's melodrama on Hey Hey It's Saturday so iconic. We're having a bit of fun with Elton John here as well. So we've got a video footage of him on Hey Hey It's Saturday. And it was a little bit later that Molly Meldrum and Countdown got inducted into the ARIA Hall of Fame, Australian Record Industry Association. So you cannot deny the impact that Countdown has had not on Australian music but international music, and it was only getting a matter of time before a television show, together with its host, were inducted into the ARIA Hall of Fame. Molly has aged a little bit, so just be aware of that as he's giving his speech here. But just see the audience, see how respectful they are of him and how incredibly happy they are to see him inducted into the ARIA Hall of Fame. So we've got the footage of that induction below. So you cannot, I suppose if you weren't Australian, you will not get the impact of this show, but it was an absolute phenomenon. It was a weekly show. It was absolutely live as well. 563 episodes. The ABC are to absolutely applauded for keeping this show on the air for as long as they did. It introduced Australia to the world and introduced the world to Australia. You've got bands such as Duran Duran and the Bay City Rollers and Smokie. These bands are absolutely massive, and to be asked to actually be performing, I suppose, on the Australian stage just shows how influential this show absolutely was. Make no mistake, Duran Duran are huge, as we know. Bay City Rollers, one of the most popular bands of all time. To get to perform on Countdown, it was an absolute privilege for these guys as well. So it was well and truly a both-way thing. And to acknowledge Molly Meldrum for the impact he has made on not just Australian music, but worldwide music, been an absolute pleasure for this series to do today. So the links to those 18 clips are in the description below, and I think we've got the record for the most clips to date. 18 is a lot, I know, but even if you just quickly click through them, trust me, it takes a little bit of time to put 18 clips in the description below, but that's okay. That's what we do, just to typify and give respect to the artists and the shows as we go through. So there's 18 clips in the description below. And I've also included my last video, as I always do, from Hey Hey It's Saturday. So if you want to recap on them, feel free. Good to see a bit of a link between these two TV shows today. So if this is your first time, the live reflection to music from here in Adelaide, South Australia, or you've come back for another one, how great to see everybody here. Well, we're going to leave my little tribute to Australia now, and we're going to head on to an absolute legend of of American television screen music, the iconic and comedy, the iconic and legendary Bob Hope. So until then, I'll catch you around. Bye for now.